Everyone, what's up and welcome back to the Shiny Record channel. Now today I'm going to go through the Endymion deck profile for everyone. Endymion is a really great deck. I really like it. It's possibly the best Pendulum deck that money can buy right now. Just straight out there. The only problem with Endymion is that souls is extremely expensive. And if you don't have souls, you only have two routes to play. You can play Mythical Beast Endymion, or you can play a mix with Pendulum Magicians. Either one is going to be really good. Now, with the Beast, I don't like Mythical Beast version. The reason why is that you are almost always going to want to use Mythical Beast Cerberus first. Now, that is not a problem until your opponent ashes and you realize a scale 4 is stuck in the zone. There's no what's her face to save us from that anymore. Unfortunate, Konami just has dealt with the deck Savage, and we can't really do anything about that. So if you get Ash, you're pretty much in deep trouble. So what the Magician route provides for you is that it gives the deck an extremely big push. Endymion slowly builds up their board, Magician just go all in. So you get a benefit of both. And the Magician is extremely cheap, so you can always purchase this. Now for the deck profile, we play triple Endymion, one Reflection, which is searchable, one Magistus, it's a requirement to play. It doesn't come up that often with the deck as much as you'd like, but it's just really good to have anyways. One Servant, and please note with the 2020 April ruling being applied to all events now, you can now use your Servant a second time if it gets ashed. A quick review of it would be that, alright, it was being correct in the first place when you could have used it multiple times, because the scale effect is not once per turn. As a matter of fact, the scale effect isn't even a once per turn at all. The amount of times you can summon Servant is hard once per turn. And how the ruling worked at OCG, because it happened at OCG first, is that when you try to summon a monster and the summon is negated, it still counts towards summoning the monster. Example, if you had a monster that could only be summoned once per turn, and I mean hard once per turn, like Wiverbuster or Collapse Serpent, if you summon them in OCG and it gets solemned, you can't attempt to summon it again even if you get a next copy to your hand, because it's a hard once per turn on that summon. The same thing with Servant. You can only attempt to summon it a hard once per turn in OCG. That wasn't applied to TCG. But the ruling changed overall. They ruled it to OCG land. But as we know in the 2020 April rule, they switched it back and made OCG more like TCG so that you can do it multiple times if it's negated. It's not even about being negated or not. It's about you didn't summon the card. It has a limit on the summon, not the effect. Moving on. Triple Magical Abductor, router for the entire deck. And one Mythical Beast, Jackal King. I'd like to play more, but the thing is, when you just open multiple of him and don't have a way to put a counter on him, you're in trouble. But it's a really good card overall. It's most likely what you're going to always summon with the Servant. And that's it for the spell counter engine of the deck. Then we have the Magicians. We have two Harmonizing, which is easily the best Magician. We play one Shanky and one Dharma Eye. A lot of persons aren't familiar with this one. And for those who don't know what Shanky does, the scale effect will never appear. Just know that he's a scale 3. However, apart from that, the monster effect on Shanky, he's a quick effect to negate light monsters once per turn until the end of the turn. So he's an effect velo for light monsters, which is good because it counters Ecclesia and then other light monster decks. It doesn't come up that often anymore, but it's really good to have. Then you play one Dharma Eye. The reason why 1-1, you could easily play two Shanky, but the reason why 1-1 is that if you are in a case of an emergency, let's say I drew all the Harmonizing, and you need to see the level 7s. Well, there are two different names. Pencall can only search for different names. That's it. This one is not that powerful as Shanky in terms of effect, but the 2-5 defense does come up, and when he's Pendulum summoned, all your magicians are protected for that turn. They cannot be destroyed by card effects as long as he's on the field. So that's really good. And his scale effect is kind of useful. You may never use it, but he's the best scale effect out of all of them, which is you can target a magician in scale, that includes himself, reveal any pendulum monster in your hand, and that monster's scale becomes the same as the one in your hand. So even if you lock your scales, he can get it out. And it's not like somebody's going to have a negate specifically for a scale effect that doesn't destroy or anything like that. So it's really convenient. Then we play one Black Fang and one Purple Poison. Purple Poison has been more and more important day in, day out, because I see persons doing some things like summoning Natural Beast. So you might want to contemplate in summoning, apologies, playing more. But the thing is, you're almost always going to have Servant in scale, or you're going to have Abductor in scale. So the chances of you finding a low scale magician and actually needing to scale it is really low. And then Black Fang supports the entire deck because majority of your big boss are dark spellcasters. So he can monster born majority of your deck. From there, self-explanatory, we have one spellbook. I don't need to explain that. Triple Luna. Luna is easily one of the best cards in the deck. She's just really stupendously good. In terms of, oh, I summon this card, it gives me a search, it can search for itself, or it can search for Reflection, because they have 1850 attack and they're spellcasters. And not only that, it has an on-field quick effect compulsory. Your opponent can negate this if they send a monster with the same name from deck to grave or extra deck to grave. Now the thing is, nowadays Yu-Gi-Oh! Persons don't play multiple copies of a card in the extra deck. You probably play one of each. So it's really strong against extra deck. And then the mere fact that you normal summon Say effect to search, they probably are going to want to respond there. Then you can just use the next effect to compulsory get it back to your hand. It won't get banished or anything like that. If Mekaba, let's say you summon it, use the effect, your opponent chains Mekaba, discarding a monster, you can always chain to bounce if they even, let's say, negate it. That's two negates out of the way with one card. And if they don't negate it, it still comes back to your hand and it won't be banished because it changed location. So it's just a really good card overall. And I think that this was the main push why I even decided to play this version, because it's just a great interruption router and it gains advantage turn by turn. So the grand game becomes a lot easier. Then we have Triple Duelist Alliance, one Pen Call, one Star Pendulum Graph. Now I have to explain this one because I really was going to cut it. The last time I played the deck, I remember keenly that I cut it. The reason why is that while you have this active, the second Pen Call cannot work because you're most likely going to run out of magicians before it ever comes up. Second of all, Star Pendulum Graph may not always be useful because you might not always see a magician and you have to go out of your way to trigger it. You won't always see magicians all the time. That is not the case. But the thing is, Sky Strikers is a thing now, and this auto beats Sky Strikers. But on top of that, you already beat Sky Strikers fairly easily because Endymion is here. And Endymion with a counter is near impossible. Well, it is impossible for a Sky Striker to pass Endymion by himself with a counter. They would have to go into their extra deck for something that is not a Sky Striker card to cross him. That's just a given, that's just a fact. Or they can Dark Rule and then do something. But the mere fact that they have no Sky Striker card, means there's nothing searchable for them to out Endymion by itself, it's just a win-win situation. And then the Star Pendulum Graph makes it worse for them because they can't even target spellcasters on a whole. So if it's a case that you want an easy matchup against Sky Striker, here you go. You play it. If you don't need the extra easy matchup, that's fine. I have the last matchup I played against Sky Striker using Endymions. Their first turn, they found everything. Every single thing they need. Triple Widow Anchor, Engage, everything. And they reduced me to 500 life points. And I still told it. Like, the Sky Striker just doesn't beat this at all. Then we have Triple Mastery, Triple Restage, and one right hand. You can play two right hands if you want to. The aim of playing this card even is not even to activate it on field. It's to discard it with Pendulum Call because you go plus when you do that. Alright. Apart from that, we have one Instant Fusion, and then 3 Allure of Darkness. For your draw engine for the spellbooks, we play 2 Secrets, Knowledge, and 1 Grand Spellbook Toll. The Spellbook Toll is really important in terms of if I find any spellbook card, I know that I don't have to get rid of the monster present, so I get an even bigger push from it. And please remember, knowledge works on any spellcaster, so it doesn't have to be specifically your spellbook that you throw away. And you can always activate this, get a counter, then send it from field to grave to draw 2. It's a plus scenario. You don't lose out. If you say, let's say you hard drew Blue Boy. Even if you hard draw Blue Boy and you add Secrets, when you link off to him into your link monsters, you can still reveal 3 from your deck. And you already know it doesn't even matter which one you find, because this can always search for knowledge and throw it away. And let's say this is left in the deck. You can simply activate it. It makes you draw 2 cards every single standby phase. Well, you're going to draw an extra card, so you don't lose out from playing the Grand Book Spell Toll. So it's really nice to have. It's just that it takes a while for it to generate advantage, which is 1 turn. How many times you finish the duel on the first turn going first? Never. So it's just a win-win scenario, because you actually have to wait till your turn comes back around to OTK them. It's a win-win scenario. And of course, your only trap is Time Pendulum Graph, which is there to ruin your opponent day. The thing that I like about Time Pendulum Graph, though, is that when you draw it, activate it early game, and then your opponent later down finds impermanence and realize your entire deck is spellcasters, so they draw a card that cannot activate. Which is really hilarious. I'm not even exaggerating. It's really funny to watch them. For extra deck, we have Millennium Eyes, Vortex. That's it for the fusions. We have Savage and Dweller along with Absolute Dragon. Whoa. Sorry guys, messed up there. Absolute Dragon. Now this is it for your Fusion Synchro Exceed. The thing is, I was going to play Exciton. No, my apologies, not Exciton. Steelstorm Roach. The reason why Roach was good is because it kills a lot of deck this format that would have builds. Like, example, Infernoble. If you summon this against Infernoble, they lose instantly, because they have nothing in the extra deck that can easily cross this by normal means. And then if they summon a big monster by special summon, like they have a level 5 that can just leap from their hand, it just goes to grave right away with Steelstorm. If they synchro into Savage, you negate the summon. If they synchro into anything big, you negate the summon. And it's fairly good against a lot of meta decks. However, the problem that I had with him is that 1, Dark Ruler no more exists. It wasn't always the case before. And then Dweller beats all the matchups by itself. So Dweller would have 1, and in terms of Dweller, you can just Dweller as the draw, so Dark Ruler cannot do you anything. Not that I even wait. I Dweller immediately as the draw card. So if they have the Gamma, I'm obviously going to negate it. And apart from that now, we have the Link monsters. 1 Artemis, you should be playing 1 copy. It's really good in terms of, hey, I summon Blue Boy effect, link off into Artemis, activate a restage, pull it back, and then I go into our next link 2 that is exclusive for the deck, which is Crowley. And Crowley, that's an instant draw 2, without me having to give up the monster presence. Apart from that, we have Cross Sheep, which is our next good card, self-explanatory, IP, and for your first big boy, Nightmare, to go with IP. I'm not really a great fan of Nightmare. From I played Pendulum till it exists till now. Well, Endymions rather. I have never summoned this card at a tournament. Not even once. It has never come up for me. Never. It's between I'm in such a great commanding position that I don't need to summon it, or I'm in a losing position where it's hard for me to summon. So I've never actually summoned it. And for your big links, we have double Selena Gomez, along with Apollosa, Abomination, and Boral Sword. Boral Sword is just really here to get rid of big monsters that are unaffected by Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something like that. While Abomination is just here because he's a great link for with high attack. A lot of times you'll find yourself in a position where if you just find one more high attack monster, you can end the duel right then and there. That's why he's here. Plus he gets to destroy cards, which are good. So that's it for the extra deck. I think it's all self-explanatory. However, I must say, if you have access code, you don't have to play any of these, and it gives you an extra monster that can be played in the extra deck. There's a lot of things I can play right now, and there's not a lot of things that are good worth of playing. So you have to think what you want to play there. You guys can tell me, just in case I get the access code real soon, or at least want to borrow for the tournament. But apart from that, let's go through the side deck. Triple DDD Supreme King Kaizo. Easily your best side deck card. I regret not siding this the last tournament. I thought it wouldn't have worked due to the matchups that were there. I regret it a lot. Because not only he attacks for game by himself, and on top of that, I lost the Infernoble in top 4. If you summon this, Infernoble loses immediately because he negates all your opponent's cards. So all the equipped cards are dropping off, all your opponent's monsters are negated. He alone was going to cross the field and punch for game. Like, it was ridiculous, and I should have played it. And the reason why I didn't play it was because I was playing Artifact Lancia. And Lancia was damn good. But the issue with Lancia is that I played Droll. Any deck Droll is good against, Lancia was good against too. So I didn't need both of them, and I ended up drawing them together. Where if I had drawn this with a combination of any of the other ones, it would have won. So I really regret not sticking to my guns on that one, and I did pay the cost. Droll is Droll, I don't need to explain that. Triple Archfiend. Archfiend was that I was playing Cosmic, and I was thinking to myself, why bother play triple Cosmic Clone or triple Twin Twister? If this was going to do the same thing, no one sides anti-spell anymore. If he sides anti-spell, he should call a judge for cheating. It just got rid of it, and then I ended up playing Monarchs. And then someone Vanity's Fiend, I was like, what? But because they play Vanity's Fiend, you can just normal summon Tribute and Destroy. Which so that was good. It never came to that. The Monarch just did stupidness, so it never came to that. I didn't need to find it. Triple Dark Ruler no more. I don't need to explain any of that. The last 3 cards are evenly matched. Now, I may not play them for the weekend. I know the thing is, I normally try to change the deck a little bit before tournament because all the persons who I'm going to duel are subscribed to my channel. Thank you all. But they know what I'm coming with. So it's really difficult for me to just come with a deck profile like that. But this is it for the deck profile, everyone. And what else I'm going to side is going to be kept a secret until Sunday. If you guys would like some combos with the deck, I can. But the combos are really more of test hands. Because truth be told, there is no specific combo for Endymions. You can just do everything. And the only problem you have with Endymions is really dealing with Nibiru. The thing is that your servant is no longer stopped by just 1 Ash. It just really kills the deck. Like, if they Ash this, just do it again. And I know it's kind of hard to find 3 more counters. But if you play the field spell, which I'm not interested in until our cards gets unbanned. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Heavy Metal 4 Electromite. Until that card is unbanned, I'm not going to play the field spell. It's just not worth it. But that's it for me, guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.